welcome to the newest episode of Sports Hour. With me, Sara Gordon. Sara, we're doing something a little different today. We're getting some more sports in, which is always good. And so that means during this segment, I think we're going to be going all in one. So we're going to be doing AFC for right about 10 minutes and then NFC for right about 8 or 9 minutes. So let's jump right into let's jump right into the first game.
Must we?
I think we're gonna have to. It's the Bills versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, a game where the Bills were facing against like the 28th ranked pass defense, and the final score of this one was 9-6 in favor of Jacksonville. So 3 field goals to 2. What was your takeaway from this game?
I have no words for this game, Trevor. I have nothing. Our O-line, what are you doing, first of all? Okay, here's my thing. I don't know what happened ever since the bye week and the loss of the Titans. In the loss of the Titans, we still played well. We should not have lost that game, but we still played well, scored points, scored more than 9 points, or 6 points, sorry.
2 field goals.
2 field goals. We actually scored touchdowns. And then ever since the bye week, I don't know, we've just been in this funk or something, and I don't know what's going on. No one knows what's going on, but it's very concerning because last week, what was the score from last week?
26-11, but it was 3-3 at halftime.
Right, exactly. The first half, whatever is going on in the first half needs to be fixed because we are not doing anything in the first half. We're just not moving the ball. We're not getting open. We're not covering our quarterback. Protect Josh Allen with your life. I would. No, but seriously, I don't know we've just gotten into this funk. And I don't know what's going on because we were looking at the beginning of the season, besides the Steelers game, which that one we should have won also. We were getting 40 points. We shut out Miami 40-0.
Shut out Houston. I mean, it wasn't even close in that one either.
I don't know what's happened, but we got to figure it out because this is not looking good. Now we have the Patriots coming back up on us, which makes me very upset.
Allen actually threw 2 interceptions and lost 1 fumble, and it almost was 2 fumbles because I thought at the end of the game on that 3rd down when he got sacked to make it 4th and 17 to save the game, I thought he fumbled that one too.
Yeah.
But the refs, they didn't even look at it. Jacksonville even called a timeout so the refs would get extra time to look at it. But
right. That was the other thing, the penalties.
Yeah.
The penalties of this game were driving me nuts.
It was over 100 yards in penalties for the Bills.
It was ridiculous. And the first couple were completely terrible calls by the refs. But then as the game went on, it was Bills players' fault most of the time. And that's something that we can't have. That's over 100 yards in penalties is absolutely ridiculous. It's something you cannot have and win a football game.
And what's unreal about this is Jacksonville's first win on American soil since September 13th, 2020. That's pretty incredible. They won one other game, but that was in London. I believe they played in Tottenham Stadium against the Dolphins. They won that game with no time left, game-winning field goal. But like this one, they also won by a field goal, but nobody scored any touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence was shut down. Josh Allen was completely shut down, not except the other Josh Allen. That was weird to see Josh Allen intercept Josh Allen knock out a fumble against the other Josh Allen. The whole thing was just super weird, but
it was a whole mess, and you just can't win games without scoring a touchdown. You just can't. It's the name of the game.
I feel I
don't know what was going on, but
giving the ball, force-feeding the ball to Beasley in the 3rd quarter was what was giving them troubles on offense too. Diggs was catching a lot of passes in the first half, then they just stopped giving it to him. He got 1 catch in the 4th quarter for a first down, then they just stopped throwing it to him. They just kept force-feeding Beasley. And it's not like the Jacksonville had a great offense either. They were getting destroyed by the defense too. So
yeah, the defense didn't play terribly. The defense was pretty good overall. But, we do have some injuries that we are dealing with. I understand that. But at the same time, we still should be able to adjust with the team that we have right now. but I think the offense especially just has a lot of work to do, and whatever funk we're in right now, we just got to get out of it because I'm seeing like the headlines the last couple of weeks where it's like Buffalo is the Super Bowl team.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want to do. You don't want to overhype a team either.
Right.
I mean, the players and the coaches can tell you, hey, we're not listening to this, but it's everywhere, so it's kind of impossible for them not to hear that. And then when they hear that, the pressure's on, and they start to play like garbage.
Exactly.
So overhyping teams is just where you get into a bad territory. If you're a fan of a team that was in contention, then all the hype comes in, then they start to stink. It's like, it happens in the NFL because everybody hears everything, every single reporter, every verified account on Twitter or Instagram that is saying, hey, these guys are going to go far this year. It's definitely tough.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
It is a lot. It's a lot of pressure. And, I think that you can't, and like Bills Mafia is such a supportive group, but they're also a very rowdy group.
Absolutely.
I guess I shouldn't say anything because obviously I was very upset with the laws, but at a certain point you have to remember that these are people and this is their jobs. We have high standards for them. As I'm getting political now, but we do have high standards for them. But yeah, it's just it is a lot of pressure. But
well, Sarah, can't we agree that it feels better to talk about it after a loss? I mean, I've been in this situation 5 times this year.
That is true.
And lucky it hasn't been 6 because that's the game we're gonna get into next.
Yes, we can. Yeah, we can.
9-6 is a baseball score. Like none of you guys can score a touchdown. I don't know.
No, it's I literally have no words for this game. I mean, obviously I just had words right now, but after this game was over, I had nothing.
Just
I didn't
speechless.
want to talk.
Turn it off.
I didn't want to talk to anyone. I was in disbelief. So as long as we don't ever have a game like that again, we'll hopefully be okay. But I think that this was a big, whatever the phrase is.
I think it's a huge wake-up call for the Bills.
Yeah, wake-up call. That's what I wanted for. This is a wake-up call.
You guys, Buffalo and Jacksonville, you guys owe me 3.5 hours of my time back because I had to watch that game because there was nothing else that was on. So, thank you for that. The Bills will travel to MetLife Stadium to take on the Jets next week, probably against Mike White. I think he's coming back, but that's really convenient that we bring that up because that brings us right into our next game.
Right.
Colts at home. They finally get, for the first time in 4 years, the Colts get a home primetime game. Let's just give the NFL, hey, salute. You gave the boys a home primetime game. 45-30. So 75 combined points. And the Colts are 4-5. The Jets are 2-6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Jets are 2-6 right now. And I mean, a lot of those Jets points that came in the game were during garbage time. The game was already over. Jonathan Taylor, I can't say enough good things about him. Jonathan Taylor is a stud. I mean, he cracked 22 miles per hour on his 70-yard touchdown run where he got untouched. The radar gun clocked him at 22.1 miles per hour. That's insane. Which is really, really insane.
It's insane. And he had 172 receiving yards or rushing yards, and 2 touchdowns amongst everything else. So he's on the level. He's just insane. At 22 miles per hour.
Yep.
That's crazy.
I think if I ran as fast as I could right now, I probably wouldn't even crack 13 miles per hour.
Right.
I'd probably max out at like 11.5 or something. Mm-hmm. But Jonathan Taylor is a different human being. There's a reason why the Colts traded up in 2020 to draft him, even though they already had 2 solid running backs. And the other one, Nyheim Hines, is a good running back too, who really wasn't used much this season. But Wentz has another option now to throw the check down. And he looked good. He scored a rushing touchdown that went for 30 yards. He caught a decent amount of passes. And they're doing this without T.Y. Hilton, too, which is pretty – I mean, this is the Jets defense, but they're still an NFL team. And Carson didn't wince. They didn't take him out of the game when they were up 42-10, which was weird. And the Jets kind of came back in the game because the Colts were just trying to run the clock out the rest of the way. But – Josh Johnson came in the game for Mike White because Mike White injured his wrist. He was out for the rest of the game, injured his wrist in the first quarter. And Josh Johnson was throwing dimes. He threw for 3 touchdowns, but I mean, it was against a lot of backups, but
Yeah.
still an NFL defense. You got to give Josh Johnson a lot of credit for that too.
Right, absolutely. He had 317 yards and not even playing the whole game. So, yeah, definitely got to give him credit for that one.
And almost 4. Like the interception he threw at the end of the game was tipped at the goal line and intercepted. That was close to being his 4th touchdown. But
Yeah.
the Jets have decent backups at least. That's what we've been seeing. But they really don't have any weapons. They don't have a running game. They don't really have a defense. So the Jets, you probably have your future guy in Zach Wilson once he comes back, and then a solid backup in Mike White and Josh Johnson, who's a good third stringer. But I mean, that running game wasn't really working. The wide receivers looked good against Indy, but the defense was just getting carved apart.
Right.
Wentz was dropping great passes, and he was pretty efficient that day. He didn't throw it too much, but they just gave the ball to Jonathan Taylor, and he ran it. They gave it to Hines too. He just took it up, 45-30. Colts will play the Jacksonville Jaguars next week in I believe it's in Jacksonville, but that should be a good game. Hopefully it's not like 6-3 next week or 3-0 in overtime or a 3-2 game or something like that. Hopefully we'll see some more interesting football out of the Jacksonville Jaguars. But
Yeah.
as far as the Colts go, almost cracking 50 points. Me being a fan, I mean,
I bet you were happy.
ain't no hat throw this week, but
I
that
know.
was awesome.
No hat even in the premises
Nope.
for you.
Nope, don't even have to do that because you beat the Jets. There's your Super Bowl. Congratulations.
There's your Super Bowl.
There you go.
Not quite, but
No, not
quite.
maybe in a few years.
in a few years.
But yeah, 75 combined points is just
Right.
insane. I don't care what game you're watching.
Oh,
that's like
absolutely.
college football numbers too.
Right, exactly.
But
Yeah.
40, I just
45.
cannot believe that. I can't.
You know what's weird is that, and this is concerning, the fact that the Colts and the Bills are kind of like going opposites right now.
Yeah.
And it's very concerning. The Bills need to like stop. Like I don't care. The Colts can, just so you're happy, the Colts can keep going up, but like the Bills need to go back up again too.
Can I just have a message to Tennessee real quick? Can you just stop winning?
Yes.
Like Derrick Henry is out, and then you bring in Adrian Peterson. I thought the Rams were going to kill you. We'll get into that game in a little bit, but Tennessee, just stop. I mean, I want to get a playoff spot, but no big deal.
No.
Cleveland destroying Cincinnati, 41-16. Joe got burrowed in this game by the Browns defense, and it started on the first drive of the game. The Bengals threw it at the 2-yard line, and I believe it was Denzel Ward who returned that 98 yards for a pick six, which, I mean, 41-16, it was pretty much over, just from there alone.
Right.
They had no answers, 41-16, Joey got burrowed. The Dolphins and the Texans, 8 combined turnovers. The final score of this one was 17-9. Jacoby Brissett versus, what's his name, Tyrod Taylor?
Right.
A game that, was similar to the Bills game, and as of not a lot of high scoring and just boring. Offense wasn't working, just a battle of the defenses.
Yeah.
I don't really have much to say about this one, but the Dolphins are back in the win column with Tua sitting the bench again. So,
Right.
yeah.
Concerning.
And the next game, another overtime win for the Birds of Baltimore as the Ravens beat the Vikings 34-31. They were down 17-3, and they came back, tied it, got the ball first in overtime, ran out the clock, and they won it with a Justin Tucker field goal. That was really key for the Bills and for the Colts, if you think about it, because the Ravens were tied for number 1 in the AFC, and if they lost this game, it still would have been a gamble. Who's going to get first place, and the
Right.
Colts are going to gain ground, Titans are going to gain ground, but Lamar Jackson being Lamar, winning that game 34-31. The Chargers beating the Eagles in Philly 27-24. And I'm wondering, is Justin Herbert, he looked kind of shaky. I don't know if he's playing a little bit injured or what the deal is, but
Yeah. He definitely doesn't have the same fire that he's had like the first part of the season. You could definitely see a change there.
yeah.
So
Maybe
that's
a little bit
concerning.
of reality setting in, and he's like, I can't beat everybody anymore. But
Right, that's true. Yeah,
But,
because he was definitely the guy at the beginning of the year everyone was talking about.
And Hurts made it close. Like, he was looking good in this game, but couldn't get it done. That's probably the epitome of the Eagles' 2021 season right there.
Right.
They're definitely struggling a lot. So Chargers take that one. The Steelers well, I'm going to say the refs over the Chicago Bears, 29-27. I don't know. I believe the referee's name is Tony Correnti, but Cassius Marsh, one of the linebackers for the Bears, was walking back to the huddle. Tony Correnti, the ref, took a step back, leaned into it, and they ran into each other, and he threw the flag, and I think he got ejected for contact with the ref, but excuse me. I mean, just
it's ridiculous.
that set them back 15 yards, and just a lot of calls going against the Bears. They had a chance to get a game-winning field goal, but they called a taunting penalty on offense, which pushed them back 15 yards. They had to throw a Hail Mary to the end zone. Didn't work, and the Steelers beat the Bears 29-27. I think the refs need to keep their keep their finger out of the pot, because they're really just affecting these games, especially
truly are.
A team like the Bears who are trying to work their way up in the NFC with a rookie quarterback. That's just a confidence shooter right there.
Absolutely, for sure.
And now let's go on to the NFC real quick. We have the upset alert. When I saw this score, I was shocked. But at one point, this game was 30-0. The Broncos beat the Cowboys in this one, 30-16. They got a couple touchdowns with a 2-point conversion in there to get within 14. So
yeah, it took them to the fourth quarter before the Cowboys put up any points. It's crazy.
And they didn't put up any points until like 5 minutes to go.
Right.
Then Denver got the ball back, went 3 and out, and then the Cowboys got the ball back, scored a touchdown, 2-point conversion.
Yeah. It's it was the big shocker.
I think Dak Prescott is still playing injured. That's just what I'm thinking. He missed last week, and Cooper Rush came in, but yeah, 30-16 there. Another upset, Falcons over the Saints. This is a Saints without Jameis Winston. He's out for the rest of the year with an ACL injury, and I believe it's Trevor Siemian that's playing now. And Matt Ryan and the Falcons beating them 27-25 on a game-winning field goal. Another upset, and within the same division too. Another upset, the Giants over the Raiders, 23-16.
This was the week of craziness. Absolute
Week 9 out of all weeks, like the middle of the season. I don't understand why it's so crazy now, but
I don't either, but it is. So.
And here's one that we all expected. The Patriots winning over a very struggling Carolina Panthers team, 24-6. And we find out today that Sam Darnold's going to miss several weeks with an injury. Mac Jones looked so much better than him. He looked way more comfortable in the pocket, despite, Stephon Gilmore, his former teammate, intercepting him.
Yeah.
That was like his only bad play.
Right.
But he's really holding his own now. He doesn't have to heave it down the field 20 yards because his running backs are shifty. He can just throw the check down. He'll get them 25 yards after the catch. And Mac Jones is living the life with Bill Belichick right now. And they win this. They hold the Panthers to under 7 points. They win this one 24-6. Patriots just making this look easy.
I know. It's very concerning. They're starting to come back, and we definitely got to keep Bills. You pay attention.
Now, I'm not sure who they play against next week, but let's get into another low-scoring game. The Chiefs over the Packers without Aaron Rodgers. Chiefs only win this game by 6 and win this game 13-7. So Aaron Rodgers goes down with a COVID, and Patrick Mahomes only puts up 13 points. He's not looking the same after signing that massive contract. I'll just say that.
It really isn't. Yeah.
The Cardinals without Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, I believe that was from COVID, they still beat the 49ers 31-17. The Cardinals are scary. They are honestly that scary team in the NFC that everyone has to look out for. And the Titans over the Rams on Sunday night, 28-16. Matt Stafford throwing bad interceptions in his own end zone. Tennessee moves up to 7-2 now, 6-2. I'm not sure, but that pretty much wraps up our Week 9. Hopefully, Week 10's a lot better. Hopefully, it's a lot more scoring. And Sarah, thank you for coming on. And coming up next in approximately 2 minutes, it's going to be me and Topher wrapping up the great outcome of the World Series and talking a little bit of NBA. So stay tuned.
We're ready for you.
Pneumococcal.
If you're 65 or older, like me, you're at greater risk for pneumococcal pneumonia even if you're healthy. People 65 plus are over 10 times more likely to land in the hospital for pneumococcal pneumonia than those 18 to 49. And it's important we all do what we can to stay healthy. So, talk to your doctor or pharmacist about vaccination.
Hope. Where are you hiding? I search for you in the seconds, the minutes of each and every day. Hear me as I call out to you. Take my hand. Lift me up as I lift up others. Welcome me home, father, mother, sister, brother, son, daughter. Hear us now. Alone we stood, divided we fell. No longer. Now we choose to make the connection. Our new mission lies within. Visit maketheconnection.net to learn more.
16 is such a significant age. I promise to help protect my eldest daughter during this exciting time in her life. Teens are at an increased risk for meningococcal disease, a rare, potentially deadly bacterial infection. But half haven't received the CDC-recommended second dose of the MenACWY vaccine at 16. I want to help change that. Take your shot against meningitis. Talk to your teen's doctor about the MenACWY vaccine and ask about MenB. Visit the16vaccine.org.
Welcome back to Sports Hour. Topher is joining us right now. We're going to recap the great, I'll say that sarcastically, outcome of the World Series, from my opinion, but it's great for him. And then we're going to get into a little bit of the NBA standings, a little bit of that too. So let's just jump right into baseball. So the World Series, the season is done. It ended last week like I thought it would when we were on the show last time, and I believe when we were sitting here, Houston was losing to Atlanta 5-0, I believe.
I think it was 6-2 by the end of the
6-2 or something like that. Either way, it was a blowout, and the Atlanta Braves ended up winning this series in 6 games, and they won it once again on Houston's soil, like the Nationals did in 2019, and Jorge Soler wins the World Series MVP. I mean, honestly, well-deserved. I honestly would have given it to Freddie Freeman, but I mean, just that was a tough team that went into this World Series, knocking down the Dodgers. You knew that they were storming the castle in Houston, and they wanted to take that for themselves. Their first World Series title since 1995, their first World Series appearance since 1999. So their first appearance this millennium, and they win it. So they're 1-for-1 in the millennium, and they ride off in the sunset. I believe they had their parade last Friday.
Did you see the video of the Braves bus driver like flying down the street going like 30? Like, I was like, what is going on? It was I saw it on Twitter. I'm like, damn, they really don't know how to celebrate down in Atlanta.
Hey man, city of champions now.
Yeah, now, but like, God, between the Hawks and the Falcons, they have not had anything to celebrate recently. So, good for them though. Atlanta needed a win. Like, Atlanta needed something. Between the Hawks last year in the playoffs and obviously what happened with the Falcons the one year against the Patriots, they needed something to celebrate.
And we were saying this last week, like, even if Houston won, I would have such a tough time figuring out who would be World Series MVP.
Agreed.
Usually with a winner, you automatically know, like, this guy is a clear-cut MVP, unless your team is stacked with amazing talent. Kind of like Atlanta was this year. I thought Freeman should have won it.
But, like, at the same time, like, you could pick out 2 other guys.
Yeah.
You could pick out Soler, and then it was also, who was it? Albies.
Albies, exactly.
Yeah, like, those are 2 guys. Those are 2 other guys you could definitely be like, yeah, they deserve it too.
Yeah. I mean, both teams were injured, but they look like it didn't really bother them too much, except on the pitching side of things for Houston. Sure. But, like, if Houston won, I'd probably just go with Altuve by default.
Yeah. At that point, there was really no one else that deserved it for Houston.
maybe relief pitcher Phil Maton, but that's about it.
That's honestly it. I feel like you'd be hard pressed just from like literally just from like a publicity standpoint, be like, yeah, we gave it to the relief pitcher. No, I think at that point you just go, yeah, Altuve is the star of the team. Give it to Altuve, just run with it. Be like, yep, you can somehow manage to justify it.
Yeah.
You're gonna be hard pressed. Statistically, you could probably justify like the relief pitcher getting it, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know about that one.
Yeah. It gets a little trippy here and there with them, especially with the Astros, who are very inconsistent. But they brought back Dusty Baker, and the whole new thing about free agency, that'll be kicking off probably maybe the next couple weeks or so. Like, we're only seeing the names that are available right now. Not a lot of big moves just yet. So that'll probably get done in the next couple weeks. Don't ask me how I feel about the Dusty Baker signing, by the way, because I don't really care about it. But yeah.
Carlos Correa to the Yankees.
Oh.
Let's make it happen, ladies and gentlemen. Let's make it happen. All right.
Oh, man.
Moving on. That'll end my baseball thing for the season. That'll be how I end it. Carlos Correa, Corey Seager to the Yankees. Just one of the two. All right.
Maybe he's predicting the future here. We're
That's
not
one
sure.
of the two. That's all I need.
But-
okay, I'll be happy.
Hey, Atlanta Braves, congratulations, World Series champs.
Yeah.
They definitely earned it for sure. And now let's get into a little bit of the standings here for NBA. Obviously, a clear cut and dry number one in the Eastern Conference is the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah.
Did anybody really expect the Sixers to jump out to this far margin already? I know they're only 11 games in, but they have a 72.7 winning percentage right now.
Yeah, they're crazy, and they're doing it without like Ben Simmons. Like Ben Simmons obviously was the joke and just the absolute meme after the playoffs last year. But like, he was a good player in the regular season. He just choked in the playoffs. So him obviously like not doing well, like, and him not being there, obviously you thought it was gonna have some aspect, whether it be like mentally, just like between like publicity or just on the court. But like, they're still balling out. Like, Joel Embiid is still an MVP candidate. He's a great player. They have like skill players with Tobias Harris, even though he got yanked off the court last night because of the health protocols.
Yep.
And they still go out and just blow out the teams. Like, they're just balling out right now. It's crazy.
The one thing that is a thorn in their side right now is that they are 0-3 against division opponents. But they do average 109.7 points per game.
Yeah, like, they're putting the ball in the basket.
Which is great. Yeah, they are putting the ball in the basket. And then you actually have the power rankings pulled up. Number 2 is actually the number 2 or the number 1 team in the West, and that's the Golden State Warriors.
One's wild.
Like, who we saw last year, the clear cut and dry favorite to win the West, and they did win the West. That was the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
But this year is the Golden State Warriors. They are 9-1 right now and had a straight 90 winning.
It's crazy.
90% win percentage.
I don't understand. Like, Curry looks like old Curry.
Yeah,
like,
2014 Steph Curry.
He looks like, to be fair, he looks like 2016 Curry, just like prime, like just making every shot he puts up. And their rookies are actually like doing well. Like, it's crazy. Like, Golden State was not having like support from their rookies, especially their backups. Like, what was the center's name last year? Shoot, I can't think of it. There's so many players in the NBA.
I mean, Andre Iguodala still looks ageless right now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which is pretty incredible.
And then obviously they're doing it without Clay, who's not back yet.
Yeah.
Like,
he hasn't played a game in a long time.
Yeah,
actually.
and it's just gonna be like, you have to like question whether or not he's gonna be old Clay when he comes back, but still, like, it's only gonna help. Like, it can't hurt them to have a player like Klay Thompson back.
Right.
So you just question like, what is going on? Because it looks like pre-Durant Warriors that were just absolutely insane. Like,
Yeah.
Just won the championship Warriors. Like, it's crazy.
And we're actually in the post era of Kevin Durant, as he's over there in Brooklyn now.
Yeah.
And that's pretty incredible to see how much the Golden State Warriors are rallying around their team and their fans right now. 9-1 through their first 10 games.
I hated Golden State when they had KD. I hated Golden State before KD too. But like, I'd rather see them doing better without KD than with KD.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, it feels like the OG Warriors plus like rookies basically.
Yeah, they don't need that extra support. Like,
Agreed.
they didn't want to make that super team mentality, but I mean, through the first 10 games, you win 9 of them. It doesn't matter who you have on the roster. Like, a win is a win. It's looking great. I mean, 3-0 on the road, 3-0 in the division, and they're 7-1 in the conference, and they're on a 5-game win streak right now.
It's crazy. They're actually just balling out right now.
And then next on the
Power
rankings is, I mean, could this be labeled another surprising one?
A little bit.
They've been kind of up there for a couple years now, but the Miami Heat, who were, did they go to the final?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah. Because they had playoff Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
Playoff Tyler Hero is an absolute legend. I love the Heat. I liked the Heat pre and post LeBron. Like,
Dwayne Wade days.
Dwayne Wade will always be my favorite NBA player. So I loved pre and post LeBron Heat. So watching Jimmy Buckets and Tyler Hero ball out when they played the Lakers and challenge that super
and
team.
Staying
Lakers,
with them, he too.
It was wild. It was so cool. And now, like literally, I watched the game Saturday night. Tyler Hero and Jimmy Buckets combined for 56 points. They are insane.
An absolute definition of a 1-2 punch.
Which is weird because it's Tyler Hero. Like he was bad.
Superhero.
Yeah, but like I can't even. He was bad in the regular season last year. Like there's just no guy. Like he was great when he played in the playoffs the year before, and then he kind of was like he had too many expectations. Now he's doing what people expect.
Do you expect maybe the Miami Heat to keep this kind of thing going? Because you have the Bulls coming up in the rankings, the Wizards, the Cavs are in 5th.
Yeah,
the Nets are in 6th, and the Toronto Raptors are in 8th.
Yeah.
The Knicks are back in the playoffs. They're 7-4 in the 7th seed, but Toronto's up there too, and Milwaukee is shocking people just outside looking in at 10th place.
Milwaukee's weird right now. Like I don't know how to feel about them. Like you think that like. Are they getting like a postseason like championship hangover right now? Like you gotta think like it's something like a lot of like people in the media love to like bring up, but like it actually looks like they're doing it right now. Like they look like they aren't the same team, even though they didn't lose that many guys.
Right.
And I mean they didn't add any either, but like they look like they should be on paper very similar to the team they were last year.
Right, but they have 72 games to go. Topher, thank you for coming on, man. 72 games, plenty of time for teams to make a run, especially Milwaukee, the defending champs. Yeah, Phoenix to work their way up there.
So early.
Golden State to pull away from in the standings, who knows? But thank you for coming on. We're going to have Brent to talk about the NHL. Let's go. Stay tuned.
We've been down there. You gotta do the same. All you do is sign. So don't get nervous. Sign your name. For selective service. It takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. For selective service.
Hey guys, if you're about to turn 18, you've got to register with Selective Service. It's simple. Just go down to the post office, fill out a card, and turn it in. That's all there is to it. There's no draft now. You're just adding your name to Selective Service's list in case there's a national emergency.
So if you're 18 now, Selective Service, you gotta get down to the post office.
Register with Selective Service. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the law.
Takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. Selective Service. We've been down there. You gotta do the same. Post office. All you do is sign. So don't get nervous. Sign your name. For Selective Service. It takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. For Selective Service.
Hey guys, if you're about to turn 18, you've got to register with Selective Service. It's simple. Just go down to the post office, fill out a card, and turn it in. That's all there is to it. There's no draft now. You're just adding your name to Selective Service's list in case there's a national emergency.
So if you're 18 now, Selective Service, you gotta get down to the post office.
Register with Selective Service. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the law.
Takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. Selective Service.
Happy to have Brent join us for the first time on Sports Hour. Welcome to the show, Brent.
I'm happy to be here.
Talking about some NHL for the first time. Pretty much our first real, legit NHL segment. Topher and I have covered hockey here and there during our baseball segments, but we're just going to jump right into what's going on in the NHL. And literally, like 2 days after our last episode, we all wake up to the news of something that involves a former captain of the local Buffalo Sabres, Jack Eichel,
to
Las Vegas in exchange for Alex Tuch or Jack Eichel and a third-round pick. I thought that was kind of
Jack
weird.
Eichel, third-round pick, Tuch, Peyton Krebs, and a future second-round pick. And then Vegas got, obviously, Eichel, and then a future third-round draft pick. So, I mean, good looks for us because Alex Tuch, I mean, it just is kind of kind of bad right now because he's not going to be back till like March.
Yeah.
But when he comes back, I'm hoping, you know, things start turning around. Even before then, right now we're sitting at 5-5-2. We started off positive and then
Started
all
off
of a sudden,
5-1 and 1.
something like that.
Something like that. And
now it's just we might be getting back into old Sabres. We might.
And it's unfortunate, but the good thing is, like, we're finally done with the Eichel trade talks. That whole thing is done, and Eichel being at like his lowest trade value he's ever been at in his career, and the fact that the Sabres got all of that for him, like I'm just saying, like, imagine if we traded him when he was completely healthy in his prime, what the return would be on that. But I like the Peyton Krebs signing. He's going to be a great prospect for us.
For sure.
Alex Tuck, local kid, grew up near Syracuse, I believe. Wears 89 because of Alex McGillney. Grew up a Sabres fan. And I think that first round pick is top 10 protected. So we got a lot
Pretty
of stuff
much,
coming in, and it's sad to see Eichel go. And that whole generation of next chapter and Eichel's back and the Sabres will be back is done. But I think that these picks will add up down the line, and guys, they're going to mix with guys like Dylan Cousins and Arttu Ruotsalainen and all of our young prospects that we have in Rochester, and this should be a good team 3 or 4 years down the road.
I mean, we always say that as Buffalo fans.
Yep.
I feel like, but hey, maybe one day we'll get that playoff spot. You never know.
It's all about the future. That's all we think about. And Sabres starting off the season 5-1-1. Now they're 5-5-2. You said, and losing to teams like Detroit, and then losing to Washington in regulation. It's getting a little rough, especially after the back end of that Western road trip too, where the Sabres were losing a lot of games.
And it's not an easy week coming up. We got Oilers, the Maple Leafs, Penguins, Flames, Rangers, Blue Jackets, the Bruins, Canadiens, Red Wings again, and then Seattle, which are all very good competition teams. I mean, the Oilers are on fire. Have a win streak. McDavid possibly scored goal of the year over the weekend.
Easily.
That was just
I would have locked in that
unbelievable.
goal of the year pick right then and there.
Yeah, that was just unbelievable. I mean, I'm saying it now, goal of the year, but I mean, it's only November, so it might be a little too early to tell. But yeah, that whole game was just crazy. The whole comeback, down 4-1 to the Rangers.
Yeah.
Very good. The Rangers have been playing very well. Had a good start to their season, and then going up 4-1, and then having them come back was just. That must have not felt good for the Rangers.
Rangers and Oilers, though. I mean, two young teams that have a very promising prospect pool. Connor McDavid, obviously, and then on the other side you have Alexis Lafreniere and Draisaitl on the Oilers. I mean, I think that was a battle between two potentially good teams maybe next year. I think you can even make the argument the Rangers can make a run this year. Oilers can possibly make a run this year. With Eichel being traded to that division, that's going to be fun to see Eichel take on McDavid, the top two picks of that 2015 draft, at least 8 times a year. That's going to be fun to see. And I think he's going to get that surgery right away. So he can come back to Buffalo and play against the Sabres on March 10th. That should be a good game as well.
Yeah, that will be exciting to see Eichel come back home. Well, I mean, not home because he's from Boston, but home draft team.
Home to the team that drafted him.
Yeah.
But yeah, NHL outside of that Rangers and Oilers game, and outside of that Eichel trade, there were some decent games.
Yeah,
over
there
the
were
weekend.
some decent games. Friday we had the Blackhawks, Jets. We had the Rangers, Oilers, Predators, and Canucks. Coyotes and the Ducks, Devils and the Kings. Starting off with the Blackhawks game. Blackhawks. Rough start to their season.
Very rough start.
Very rough start.
Right now, I mean, I think they had the whole scandal from 2010, the year they won the Stanley Cup, and they're just basically cleaning house. Joe Quenneville, who's the coach of the Panthers, resigned because of that scandal from 2010. And just overall, the Blackhawks are in a complete rebuild stage, and they're having a rough start to the season.
Yeah, I mean, big rebuild stage this year, especially just getting Taves back, getting Fleury.
Yep.
Fleury was a huge addition to the team. He played great that whole game against the Jets, but I mean, Jets just running away with the game, basically taking it 5-1. I mean, outshooting Chicago 33-18. There's not really much the Blackhawks are going to do, only generating 18 shots the whole game. So, maybe you know, one day the Blackhawks will be that team again that everyone's like, yep, they're back in the playoffs. Here comes Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews and that connection. But as of right now, they're not looking like that old Blackhawks team that they used to be.
It's amazing how much of a dynasty they were and how long that lasted. Like 2010, it almost started in like 2009. I think they lost in the conference finals that year. Then they won the cup in 2010, and they just had a dynasty up until probably 2017 or 2018, whatever year that was. They won it in 2010, won it in 2013, won it in 2016, won it in 2015, I believe. And I mean, 3 cups in 5 years is very good. And now we're starting to see the players get older, coaches are getting fired, general managers are getting fired, so they have no other choice but to get younger.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, even though they did have a rough start, and they still have a little rough starts this season, I mean, it's still early on.
Yeah.
They could still turn it around. Maybe they're just trying to still get the connection going with all the players and some of the rookies, because they do got a lot of rookies on that team. But
absolutely, and the Jets, I mean, they're just fantastic team.
Yeah, every year since, I forgot what year that was, but for the past few years, they've been in the playoffs. That's a playoff Stanley Cup contender team that Chicago's going against. So you're going to expect a good game out of that team, 9 out of 10 times that you play them. You just got to try and stick to the game plan, but they fell a little short that day. So
for sure, I think the Jets are going to be that team that snaps that streak of a Canadian team not winning the Stanley Cup since 1993, which was the Montreal Canadiens. I think they're going to snap that streak. I don't really see Ottawa doing anything, Vancouver doing anything. Maybe Edmonton farther down the road, Calgary maybe farther down the road, but Toronto can't even get past the first round. I can see Winnipeg, though, making a run for the Cup. I think they have the best odds for the entire country of Canada.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say them or maybe Calgary or Edmonton. I mean, Edmonton's problem is just when they get in the playoffs, they just, I don't know, it's just they can't score. They just literally can't score. Like, McDavid's out there trying to do the best he can. I mean, I remember watching the first round last year.
He can't do everything, right?
Yeah, you literally, one player can't win the whole game for you. I mean, their one game that I was watching last year in the playoffs against Vancouver, it was literally they were down by 2 or something, and McDavid scores 2, and then they end up losing. It's like, what more do you want? He came into the league, and now he's here. I mean, last year, short season, 50 games, 52 games, and puts up 100 goals.
Right.
Who even is this guy?
I mean, he's
honestly.
Sometimes I don't think Connor McDavid. Same with Alex Ovechkin too. I don't think they're human.
No, they're really not.
Just the stuff that they do on the ice. Ovi especially doing the stuff that he's doing at his age. I think he already passed Esposito in goals scored. He's trying to chase down Wayne Gretzky. I think he tied Brett Hall.
Yep,
with a goal against the Sabres. So, what else could you say about Alexander Ovechkin? He's been loyal to that team. Got drafted by those guys in 2004, I believe, during that lockout season, and then his rookie season in 05-06, and he's always been loyal to that team. Always during the years where they got exited from the playoffs by the Penguins, he always stayed loyal, never demanded a trade. Finally won the Cup in 2018 against the new expansion Golden Knights, and his celebrations with that Stanley Cup trophy were iconic. Nobody can forget those.
Oh, the feeling I got watching him lift up that Stanley Cup for the first time.
Just as a hockey fan, right? I don't even root for Washington. I'm a diehard Sabres fan, but it was definitely the Caps I was pulling for that year. And you saw how fired up he was whenever they scored a goal. Him on the bench, just acting like their biggest cheerleader.
Yep.
I was so happy. It was like a huge weight lifted off of his shoulders after he won that Stanley Cup.
He deserved it. That team, they go to the playoffs every year, and they always fall short to Crosby and the Penguins. We always got to hear the sad, typical, here's the Capitals falling short again to the Penguins in the second round, getting sent home. And that year was different.
Yeah.
That year was different. I knew that year was going to be different. I mean, Oshie was on fire the whole year, Kuznetsov, and then obviously Ovechkin, the goal scorer, that team, they put together a well team, and I give props to the coach.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that was Barry Trotz when he won the cup. Then he went to the Islanders.
Yeah.
But I knew that was Washington's cup to win after Kuznetsov scored that overtime goal in Game 6 to knock out the Penguins. Yep. His celebration where he kicked the Penguin out of the building, that was great, where he did one of these and then kicked the Penguin. That was great. I knew just from right then and there, like, this is Washington's cup to win. Nobody's going to take it away. You're going to have to play your A++ game to take this one away from Washington. And Vegas was making a good run too.
Oh yeah,
but,
first year in the league.
That's also a great story too. Like, first year in the league, you go to the finals, you force a Game 6 against Washington. Like, that was one of the Stanley Cups for the ages.
Yeah, like I couldn't even be mad if they were to beat Washington. Obviously, I would be upset because Washington's my favorite team. But I mean, first year in the league and you go all the way to the Stanley Cup final. Who would have wrote that story?
And they've been consistently going to the playoffs ever since then. So they haven't missed a playoff appearance at all ever since their expansion in 2017. And now they have Jack Eichel, so they're going to be automatic contenders. Real quick, for the next game, do you have a preview about what the Sabres are going to do?
Sabres
do you
versus
have like a score
Oilers.
prediction at all?
I want to say the Sabres are going to win, but the way things have been looking with the Oilers being on fire and the Sabres, losing a few in a row, I think they're on like a 3-game losing streak right now. I'm going to have to go with Edmonton wins it. I would probably predict a score, maybe a 2-goal game, like 3-2, 4-2, or 3-1. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll just have to see. I hope the Sabres do pull out a win somehow, though.
I'm going to say McDavid does score 2 goals, but the Sabres win it 4-3 in overtime with a goal from. Let me give it to Jeff Skinner. I think he's long overdue for an overtime goal, but. Brent, thanks for coming on, man. Your first time on the show, you did great. We're going to have
Thank you for having me.
Fuller coming on to go over some racing for about 10 minutes. So we're going to recap the NASCAR championship and a little bit of F1, so stay tuned.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving, the ultimate party foul.
You've messed up your son's haircut. Do you try to fix it? Work with what you've got? Or show solidarity?
Thank you, babe. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Remember that to love America is to love all Americans. Because love has no labels.
Había un niño que era muy sensible a luces y sonidos. Construía escondites donde no podían entrar. No le gustaba mirar a la gente a los ojos. Lo hacía sentir incómodo. Un día se descubrió que tenía autismo. Con ayuda, poco a poco, aprendió a vivir mejor con ello.
Mientras más pronto se diagnostique, mejor. Conoce las señales en autismspeaks.org.
Your son wants to get a cat, but you're allergic. Do you A, prepare yourself, B, make the best of it,
C squared equals
25.
Good job!
or C, find a loophole? When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers, but that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
We cannot be bystanders.
We can stop to make sure someone is okay.
We can warn someone when their drink isn't safe.
And disrupt the situation.
We can.
Get someone a cab.
Or walk them home safely.
We can make campuses safer for our friends.
Our roommates.
Our classmates, our fellow human beings.
We cannot be bystanders.
We can.
Intervene.
It's on us.
All of us. Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
We are back with our racing segment of Sports Hour. Fuller, thanks for joining. We got about 10 minutes to recap the Final Four in NASCAR, and you're going to educate the audience with Formula One.
Oh.
Let's go. It's going to be great.
I'm going to do something.
So real briefly, the Final Four in the NASCAR Chase for the Cup was this Sunday. It took place at Phoenix Raceway between Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr., and Kyle Larson. And this one went down to the wire pretty much. All the Final Fours finished in the top 5. Kyle Larson, who's been dominant all year, wins his first title.
Thank God, dude. Thank God that it actually panned out for him, for like the person who did the best in season 1.
That's probably the first time we've seen that in actual years. I mean, Jimmy Johnson, all those titles that he won off of the Chase, and you know, whatever that was last year with the whole COVID Cup. I don't really know what that was, but yeah. I think last year, clear cut and dry, Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch were the best drivers, neck and neck. But Chase Elliott had a great chase for the Cup, but he won the title. And just, I don't know why they don't race at Homestead anymore. They race at Phoenix now, and you know, it's not really a Homestead race now.
But like,
yeah.
Why? I think that honestly, it's so annoying that we have this huge calendar that they say that this is the biggest race of the year, but I'd argue that Daytona's bigger. I'd argue that Indy's bigger because they actually matter and they have prestige with them.
Yeah, like Daytona 500. You have the Daytona night race in the Chase. You have the Brickyard at Indy. You have a lot. Watkins Glen's a big one.
There's Talladega.
Both
They're all way more important, in my opinion, than the Cup Series finale.
Yeah, I think so too. It's just
way more honor.
It's just the repercussions behind the last race. It really shouldn't matter where you race unless it's not a road course. It can't be a road course to end the season because that would totally mess up other drivers.
Yeah, like if they raced around Circuit of the Americas.
Oh man, I honestly think Kyle Larson would even win that one too.
Yeah, I mean, I love when they race around Circuit of the Americas because it's a direct comparison and you see them with the F1 cars, but yeah. Would not work.
So with NASCAR, it's obvious Kyle Larson, in his first year with Hendrick Motorsports, driving the number 5, he wins his first title, and I believe Denny Hamlin came in 3rd in that race. Elliott came in 5th, and Truex Jr. came in 4th. So top 5 for all 4 of those guys. They were all championship contenders, but Kyle Larson won that one, his first title. And Fuller, why don't you go over some of this really important F1 stuff.
Alrighty then. So F1, it has been in full swing this year, and by God has it been amazing. We've had an incredible championship fight between Max Verstappen of Red Bull Racing and Lewis Hamilton.
Very summer too in the USA.
Yes. So I actually went to Austin a few weeks ago. Got to go to see the race live. It was awesome. Saw Max win. Saw a bunch of great, awesome qualifying. Saw Billy Joel live. Awesome experience. But let's just talk a little bit about Formula One as a whole. So this is the last year they're doing with this layout of cars. So next year they're changing their aero package dramatically. And so they are getting rid of all the complex little winglets and all the aerodynamic things that ruin racing and it'll make it so cars can't follow. And they're replacing that with hopefully smoother air that comes from under air downforce.
A way better package in terms of passing in the turns.
Hopefully it'll lead to these street circuits that are way too tight actually opening up for overtakes. Like this race that we just had, Mexico. We just had the Mexican Grand Prix. The Mexico City Grand Prix. It's the Mexico Grand Prix, and it always screws me. The lap 58 out of 71 was when Bottas finally pitted from behind him to go get a fastest lap away from the Red Bulls. So for 50 laps, the first lap, Daniel Ricciardo takes out the leader and then makes him sit behind him for the entire race.
I guess the leader couldn't really get any chance of a payback. If this was NASCAR, you'd be seeing just bump drafting, send somebody into the wall.
He's not making it past 10 laps if this is NASCAR. That's why I love this though, is because it's pure racing and there's not it's a lot harder to collude against somebody.
And there's a lot less drama.
I would argue that there's a lot still. I will say that there's less drivers, so it feels less chaotic.
Yes.
But half of Formula One is basically politics.
We've seen that with who's going to get the second Mercedes seat that's coming next year, all these different things. But this Mexican Grand Prix was awesome because we had, the first time ever, we had Sergio Perez, who is a Mexican driver, on a top team, Red Bull. So he actually finished on the podium, P3, which has never happened for any Mexican driver at the Mexico Grand Prix. Huge step. He was joking the entire race, just having a lot of fun with it. He could tell he was really enjoying his time behind the wheel. He could apparently hear the crowd in the stadium section because the Mexican fans go crazy. It's an awesome atmosphere. And only topped by Brazil, which is happening next week. So Brazil is actually, they're doing a special thing. They've done it twice already this year called sprint races. And so for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, there are events that matter for Formula One. Friday at 2 o'clock on the 12th, we have Formula One qualifying, which we will have normal knockout qualifying where we set the pole and all that. And then the next day at 2:30, you get a nice sprint race. It's a real quick, easy taste test of Formula One. If y'all have never had a chance to watch Formula One race, this is your perfect time to dip
Almost
your
like
toes
a
in.
practice race in a way.
Exactly. Only the top 3 score points. The first place gets 3, second place 2, third place 1.
Just like a happy hour.
And then they take the order from that race and start Sunday's race. And for anyone who's doesn't know anything about it, Brazil is the track. It used to be the finale almost every year. In 2008, Lewis Hamilton won his first world title by overtaking on the final turn of the final lap of the Brazilian Grand Prix. There's some incredible moments like Ayrton Senna winning after 6 years of curses, but a track with a lot of history and a lot to look forward to. But I want to talk real quick about this bad boy right here, our driver standings. Oh, you cannot see the one I need to talk about. Alrighty, so basically we have a very intense battle all throughout with Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton trading throughout the year with 1, 2, 3, 4 lead changes, 5 lead changes.
Yep.
Which Formula One is an interesting sport because you have stinker years. We've been through a phase of Mercedes dominance where they haven't really been challenged since 2014 for a title. So having Red Bull coming up and actually fighting for it is such a nice change of pace. We also have some great battles in the constructors. Red Bull, after this isn't updated to the Mexico City Grand Prix, but after the Mexico City, they are 1 point behind Mercedes with only 4 races to go. So anything can happen with that, and there are millions and millions of dollars on the line for those teams, for those positions. And Ferrari and McLaren are very close for 3rd place. So I want McLaren to pull through. They're my favorites. But man, the Ferraris look strong at the end of this year. They've really put it together at the end.
I was just about to ask, like, if you were a driver of another, like, let's say if you were a car owner of a Mercedes, how could you go into the Brazil Grand Prix and attack these Ferraris that are apparently on fire right now? Like,
the Ferraris are just the best of the rest currently. Right now, it's just Mercedes and Red Bull leading the pack. And Red Bull has always done very well at Interlagos, Brazil, but it's going to be a challenge. Red Bull looks good. They've found a new pace in the engine that they've just not had before. So hopefully they can pull off a win. I'm rooting for them. I want to see someone besides Lewis Hamilton win for once. It was nice in 2016 with Rosberg, but yeah, just anyone besides Hamilton.
I think, well, that's the great thing about racing. Like, some seasons can be decided by just the final turn of the final lap of the final race of the season. Like, that is what makes racing so special. We'll see what happens going into this week for the Brazil Grand Prix. Fuller, thank you for coming on. Thank you for educating the audience on the great sport of racing that's very underrated. And we'll see you next week, same place, same time, right here in Hendricks Hall. I cannot speak anymore. It's been a long day. We'll see you next week.